Hi guys, so for week 10 I decided to talk about topics that I hadn't really talked about before. I didn't want to talk about the same ones and just kind of regurgitate it, so I decided to talk about new ones that I kind of read some more research on. The first one that just kind of sparked my attention was vaccines for children, just because about a month ago I heard a friend at work talking about how there was this flu vaccine that was given this year, and there was like a bad batch, I guess you could say, and it made some kids sick. It wasn't the whole vaccine, but there were a few that actually kind of made the kids sick. So that just kind of sparked my attention to want to try to talk more about this. When I looked it up though, the good thing is that 90 to 99% of all vaccines are effective and efficient in kids and don't really cause any side effects. All the side effects are minor. However, there is a few ingredients that are used in these vaccines that can kind of scare people a little bit, just because, when you hear these names, like for example, formaldehyde is one of them. And when you hear that, you're like, why would I want to put that in my body? That's not a good thing. But at this portion that they put into the vaccine, it's actually okay. And they don't put it in all vaccines, but a certain amount of vaccines they do put it in, and it's such a small dose that it is okay and acceptable for humans to have in their body. The only other thing that I would have to say is that there is that most researchers and people in the medical field and doctors don't want to really keep researching the vaccines that are helping the majority of kids, even though there are still a few kids that can't take certain vaccines and have to take the risk because of the allergic reactions or the side effects that can cause them. The serious ones are that if the child is allergic or cannot have that vaccine, and sometimes it's really hard for doctors and parents to know they can't have it until the kid's taken the vaccine, is they can have long-term seizures, they can even have brain damage or go into a coma. And so that's pretty crazy to think that that is still a possibility with certain vaccines. The next topic that I wanted to talk about was designer babies. I think this one is the most interesting to me. I heard about it maybe a year ago, and I thought that it was and immediately I thought of this topic just because it's pretty crazy. Basically what designer babies are is researchers now are able to use this new technology called CRISPR-Cas, Cas9, and CRISPR is like CRISPR. Basically what that technology is it's a genome editing tool. So it basically allows them to go into an embryo's genes and be able to section out parts of DNA, alter parts of DNA, add parts in of DNA, which is pretty insane to me. And so it's a pretty controversial topic. The earliest that they really started focusing on it was early 2000s, late 1990s. When it was first used, this type of tool was used because they could see that they could tell like a baby's sex by it early on before we now know, oh, you can only do it after a few months. Now they could have actually seen what gender the baby was going to be as young as being an embryo, and basically they would just look at the genes and say it's got a 90% chance of being a boy, it's got whatever percent chance of being a girl, and so that's how it first started. And then the first actual baby was in October of 2000, the first actual designer baby, and this was due to these parents had a child named Molly, and it was Fanconi, I think is how you say it, Fanconi anemia, and she was very ill, and they couldn't find a donor that could be suited with her. So what they did was they pre-selected embryo and made sure that it would have the disease-causing gene, and then basically they used that child as a donor for their other child, and now they're both healthy. However, I feel like if I grew up, my parents were like, you were created because to save our other child, I feel like I wouldn't be really happy about that. I would kind of be like, that was my only purpose here. But the good news is that they are both alive and well, so The only problem with that topic, I really wanted to do my research paper on it, but the only problem that I'm having is that there's not too much information that's fact-based or that has statistics. Most of the information is opinion-based and controversial. What do you think of this? You know, and it's a research paper, so I need to have like actual facts and not just opinions, and so that's my only problem with that. I'm not finding too many scholarly articles. Hopefully I can find some more because I would love to do my research topic on it. So that is my discussion for week 10.